Hello, happy Sunday afternoon. Welcome to this new stream of Werewolf the Apocalypse, Part of the Forest, as requested by Havor. It's a visual novel, so this should be fun. Hello, Havor. Hello, Jordan. Game is fire. I have Jordan on my lap and Cadillac underneath me. Cats want my attention. They've been sleeping all day. Or, welcome to Werewolf the Apocalypse, Part of the Forest. Why did you pick this? Because it's a visual novel and you wanted me to suffer. That's why. We know that. Alright, let's check out the achievements. There are 38 achievements for 1,000 gamer score. A few secrets, no rare. Exactly. Prologue. Start the chapter. This game is about rage and how it helps us do things that need to be done, as well as things that we later regret. Sometimes both. How do you feel about that? Great, I'm always anger. I'm okay with anger when it's useful. I prefer to think before I act, which is me. I do prefer to think. Your rage is low. My name's not Casey. I'm not rageful. So, you're the observant and cunning type. I am. That's okay. There's no right path here. Just your decisions and their consequences. Hello, Mr. Coolness. Jordan jumped down, so Cadillac jumped up. Let's just follow the path and see where we go. Consequences, smonsequences. I'm smarter than that. Let's just follow the path. The forest. The woods are full of stars. They flicker. Come closer. Run away. They want me to chase them. To play. Hide and seek. Observe. I watch as they dance around the tree trunks, float up on the gusts of wind that shiver through their branches, disappear among the leaves. There are no words in their dance, but I don't understand them, not yet. Then they bunch up and fly towards me like an arrow, rushing down. They're soon upon me. But just before the spear of light pierces my breast... Whoa! This just... Okay. They disappear. The dark of the night returns. In the darkness, the spirits, keeping the forest alive, whisper about the enemy. I begin to move, unnoticed, one with the night. And then I wake up. Cold and alone, confused, I open my eyes. No fraffle for this one, boo. Forest around me is thick, dark, and reeks of decay. To such an extent that it's hard to breathe. Smell fascinates me. I recognize this forest. Why am I here? Because Havor didn't pick a game I have a fraffle for. I know this place. I've been dreaming about this forest since I was a child. The tree trunks wrapped tightly in dark leaf ivy are covered in ripples of lichen, where the vines haven't taken hold. The thorny, leafless brushes at their base are overrun with needles. The fungi radiate with ghoulish, sticky green light. Dark, sponge-like mushrooms clinging to the fallen trees. I try to breathe. I'm cold. Something is rotten. I'm cold. I know it's summer, but I feel cold. Where are my clothes? I'm all of a sudden naked? What the hell? I look down and see my hands covered in a dark substance. I'm naked. A sticky, glistening film of liquid is clinging to my skin. I could feel it on my face, in my hair. Blood. Nature is never quiet. The leaves rustle in the wind. Small creatures scuttle in the underground. There is a whisper. I don't understand what it means, but the world resonates in my head. Guru? Who said that? There is a severed head right in front of me. Hi, Cadillac. Some choices are hard to make, and they strain your willpower. Let's touch the severed head. Overcoming my disgust, I gently touch its wet hair and watch as the head topples over. The face is contorted, the eyes bulging, the mouth open, as though the head were still struggling for air. I look at it and start to laugh, and then the eyes open in the darkness. The enemy! I can see their silhouettes, shades of black against the darkness. They reek of metal and acid and oil and money. Massive creatures, some with mandibles, some with spidery legs. Their faced eyes burn like small, industrial furnaces. I look at them, and something wakes inside my chest. Panic. I get up and start to run. I catch my foot on a gnarled root and fall over. Brambles reach out for me, wrap their thorny limbs around my legs. I struggle and fall face first into the ground. Moss covers my lips, pushing itself upon my open mouth, choking me. In a moment of clarity, I almost understand what the forest wants from me, and then I wake up. What kind of story is this, Havor? What the fuck? It's gonna be like that the entire game. I might need to refill my water. Mamma mia, wake up! I opened my eyes. My neck was stiff. I stretched lazily as I assessed where I was out of the corner of my eye. I wasn't in the forest anymore. I was in a bus, the sun screeching through the windows and making it hard to see. The girl next to me was touching my shoulder, disturbed. I laughed it off. Nothing like a power nap, I laughed. You're dying of laughter? I bet you are. She looked at me skeptically. You had a bad dream. The memory of the wet earth clogged my mouth was still there. I fought the urge to retch. I looked outside. I was glad I wasn't alone. Oh, geez. Thank you for coming with me, I said. The girl next to me smiled. I think we're almost there. Her name was Anya. We met a couple weeks earlier, on the orientation day. She was from Norway. A tall, broad-shouldered, calm person who wore her long hair in braids. Somehow, I managed to talk her into this crazy field trip across the land of my ancestors. She seemed excited. Anya reached into her backpack and took out 2 apples. I'm really happy we decided to come here, she said. Yeah, I said, offering her some of my kabanowski? Dried meaty sausage. Oh, you want some of my sausage? That were so much better than the original Polish ones back in the US. I was glad Anya decided to come with me. I had problems keeping friends around and really needed one. I did some searching, and she said from over her phone, and this place is amazing. The last primordial forest in Europe. This trip was my idea. Why do I have a ping? What do you mean, Hopper? Which ones? Or was I? Our summer language course was starting a few weeks, and I managed to talk Anya into skipping the tours of concentration camps, ooh, and old churches, and visiting Balaweza National Park with me instead. So far, it's beautiful, she said, her eyes smiling. But why are we here again? Good question. Why were we there? There being Białowieża, a small village in northeast Poland, near the border with Belarus. It was famous for its national park, the very last European bison, and, according to a quick web search, occasional tensions between far-right troublemakers. What the heck is going on there? Far-right troublemakers on the local Belarusian community. The most honest answer would have been, because I've been dreaming about the forest in Białowieża since I can remember. But people didn't understand when I said things like that. I looked her in the eyes. I kept it simple. I didn't want to freak her out. I told her as much as I could. I told her everything. Let's keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. I'm looking for my roots. I kept it simple so I wouldn't freak her out. What I didn't tell her was even more important. I knew my family was far from there. None of my relatives spoke about it. There were a lot of things that weren't spoken about in my life. Strange dreams that plagued me, half-forgotten tales about forests and wolves that I had heard before my mom took me, ran away, and the cut of all contract with my dad and his family. And cut off all contact, not contract. I waited for her response. Anna fell silent for a moment. I think it's great that you come from such a magical place, she smiled. The last ancient forest in Europe, thousands of years old. I wasn't sure if I was fond of the magic, but it was hard to ignore. And that was precisely why I needed to do something. Anything about my future. That damn forest and my weird-ass family. I had a clear goal in mind. Turn up the sound. Not much music. I think it's great you come from I wasn't sure if I found it. And that was precisely why I needed to do something. Anything about my future. That damn forest and my weird-ass family. I think I already read that. I wasn't there by mistake. I planned this trip for months with a clear goal in mind. I had to face the forest. I had to learn the truth. I had to figure out my destiny. I had to face the forest. My dreams. My grandfather's stories. In fact, my family was from there. There were too many coincidences. The forest wanted something from me. And it was time to find out what. But honestly, I had no idea what to expect. Ooh, all the text is gone. Welcome home. Białowieża looked like an overexposed photo of a village, with the contrast turned all the way up. It was hot, sleepy. It was a hot, sleepy day on hot, sleepy street, and everything. The old trees, the yellowed grass, the weathered wooden houses, the fences seemed almost normal. Everything except the shadows. They were sharp, as though they were freshly printed with the darkest of inks. You are welcome, Ubot. I am always watching. For a second, I could have sworn they moved, but then I realized it was just a black cat walking down the sidewalk. When it saw me, it stopped in its tracks. Of course we're gonna try to pet the cat. Here, kitty, 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 I said, squatting and reaching towards the cat. It rammed me affectionately with its head and started rubbing against my leg, totally ignoring the outreached hand. Hey, Mia, Anya said, looking at me surprised. Didn't you say your friend would be waiting for us? But he wasn't there, and the cat was still staring at me. Let's go, Anya put on her backpack. I'm tired, and I really need to find a toilet. She does. She's in the living room watching hockey and reading herself. For a moment, I was tempted to just get out of the sun and worry about my missing friend later. Yes, it's going to be a reading stream. My throat is going to hurt after this. I'll give you something to read.
SMS received.
How was Hidden Shapes? Just wait a little longer, I said. I don't have his number, and we really need to meet up with him. Oh, you haven't played it yet? Ah. His name was Bartek. I met him online while researching Bielowieza. The man knew everything there was about the local history. I asked him to look around for local stories about the forest. I hope he found something. Oh, and Pink Girl did say, yes, I did play video games before I met you. So, she does listen. She's in the living room. She can hear me talking about her. I really need to pee, Anya said. Like I was 5 years old, and not a very bright one. It is emergency raspberry flavor. I know, I'm just trying to sip it. It's just sparkling water and emergency.
Oh, what an idiot!
You can't remember if you have this game? We'll check the store page. It's a lot of reading. You know what? I tried another approach. You go, and I'll wait here a couple more minutes, and then catch up with you. Have your way. See you at the B&B. Anya grabbed her backpack. I really can't wait any longer. Have fun. She winked at me as I walked away, so I waited. And the creepy cat waited with me. Bartek was 15 minutes late, flustered and apologetic. It was his dad's company, he explained, while catching his breath. He had to help him out with some paperwork. He seemed uncomfortable. I thought you were on summer break, I said, noticing his discomfort. You said study forestry. I do, but my dad has a lot of different businesses. One of them is loosely connected to wood, so he uses me whenever he can. He said as I rubbed his neck. What kind of turn is that? Fathers, I shrugged. I could understand daddy issues. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and had freckles all over his face. Come on, I'll take you to your place. His accent was broad and very Eastern European. I flooded him with questions. Anya would have liked him. I caught him looking at me. We'll go that route. He kept glancing at me out of the corner of his eye. When I caught his glaze, I could swear he looked scared. We walked along the only street in the village, slowly, making our way towards the outskirts. The trees were growing denser, their scent becoming richer and more pronounced. There's a voiceover? There's no voiceover. Yeah, it would have been. I could just sit back and listen. So, did you find anything linking me to the forest? I asked. Bartek shook his head. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Sorry. He was avoiding my eyes. A trickle of sweat ran down his temple. He looked afraid. Don't be afraid. What's up, man? I smiled. Spill the beans. I'm a big girl. I could take it. But he just clammed up. You know what? I think you should drop it. I stopped. He was scared of something. I turned to Barrick and touched his arm. What's eating at you, man? He shrugged and shook his head. Let's taunt him. What are you afraid of? I spread my arms. Little old me? The game tracks your decisions on how Mia approaches a problem. They will accumulate and gradually reveal what kind of person she is, deep in her heart. The story changes to reflect Maia's personality. Well, he brushes his forehead with the back of his hand. I did ask. I started with the old people here. I told him that my friend from the States was looking for her roots and wanted to know about the place and her family came from. You know the drill. At first, people were very, receptive. I waited for the other shoe to drop. And then I mentioned your name. He shook his head. Please continue. Bartek, no dramatic pauses, please. I urged him. The tension is killing me. One of the old men here told me to go to hell. The other spat on the ground, and his wife crossed herself. For a moment, he looked younger and smaller. And then my own grandmother told me to stop asking. She said something else as well. I tensed up. What? I asked. She told me to pray for you. Suddenly, the sweet, golden afternoon wasn't so sweet and golden anymore. I felt a shiver run down my spine. My grandma would pray for me all the time when I was little. I felt shivers run down my spine. We walked in silence. But my mind was in overdrive. People didn't want to talk. And that could only mean one thing. I was on the right track. My pulse quickened, and I tensed up like a hound that smelt blood. I was on the right track. Every time you learn or do something significant that brings you closer to your goal, you will regain willpower. Okay, so I have 3 health, 2 willpower, and 1 rage. Bread and breakfast. Villalweza had a few hotels and hostels, but the preferred form of accommodation was bed and breakfast. That's where we stayed. Found one that was nice, clean, and that had good reviews. We had a room on the 2nd floor with a huge window and a great view of the forest. Anya was there already, unpacked and chilling in the summer sun. I dropped off my stuff and freshened up a bit. Will you show me around? I smiled at Bartek. Sure. What do you want to see? Hello, Lady M. Welcome to the reading simulator. Before you go, check out your character sheet and journal. Press respectively Y or X to open. You can find a load of useful information about Maya, her background, personality, goals, and so on there. You can also check who your friends and who your enemies are. Okay, let's push character sheet. Interesting. Journal. Bieloweza was a quaint tourist town, but I had other goals in mind. I asked Anya to go with me. Lay of the land. I had a clear goal in mind. The forest was calling me, and I was ready to answer the call. Anya and Bartek went with you. Let's go to the forest. And that's our first achievement. Hiker. Nice. You followed your dreams and visited the forest, into the woods. It was dark in the woods, dark, humid, and chilly. The leaves didn't let through a lot of the sunlight. Daniel looked at the three of us over his shoulder. How do you like her? We met maybe 20 minutes earlier. Bartek told me Daniel was the best person to go if you wanted to see the forest. So we found him. And now we are here. He was a strange one. Daniel was a strange guy, slender, but muscular. Not the CrossFit type. It was more the kind of strength you get from working all day long in the open. His skin was weathered, beaten, and bronzed by the sun, like tanned leather, and he moved in a very deliberate way. But his fingers were slim and delicate, and his eyes were the strangest shade of yellow-green. So he repeated, how do you like her? I wasn't sure whom he meant. Do you mean the forest? I asked. Polish was a strange language that gave the most unexpected genders to objects and ideas. I mean, Uzkaza? He gestured around us. The word sounded like the wind rustling in the leaves. Ushkashka. God, this is tough. Uskaska is the right word, not forest. Forests are like fields or archers, cultivated. He spat as he said it. And Uskaska, she's older than that. Even the concept of fields. He was using the word as though it was a name. We're gonna watch the forest. Easier to say. I looked around with fresh eyes. I felt as though I'd entered an ancient tomb. Gigantic dead trunks were decomposing slowly around me, young plants and colorful mushrooms sprouting from them. The trees that still lived stretched towards the sky like columns holding up the vaulted canopy, which blocked out all but a few rays of sunlight. There was the stillness, and there was movement, darkness, and light. If spirits existed, that place would be swarming with them. Thank you for that resub, Noel Pulse. Very much appreciated. Welcome to the reading simulator of the Werewolf. Hope you're having a great day. I loved what I saw. It was alien. We're gonna like what we see. There should be more places like this, I said earnestly. Or more of this place. Daniel lifted his head and looked me right in the eyes. Yes, you're right, he said with a serious expression. Then I remembered why I was there. Just finished Edith Finch. I don't think I finished that one. I told him that I dreamed about the forest. There's a special reason I'm interested in the forest, I admitted. I'm not from here, I continued. But I think something secret connects me to this place. I dream about the forest a lot. I finished some. Daniel stopped abruptly and turned to me, watching me for a while. His nostrils flared as though he were tasting the air. Yes, his face broke into a smile. I think our families might have known each other in many winters past. Uzakskus still remembers. Come on. He started walking. I know exactly what you need to see. TA doesn't look like it thinks you played it. I thought I played it. I could be wrong. Where's TA? My lights are being weird. Edith. Oh, I have not played it. That's a 2 to 3 hour game, Havor. It's in my game collection. I guess I remember it from ID at Xbox stream then. Let's check my files. I did not get that one from ID. I might have still gotten that with games with gold or something. I thought I played it. I watched streams, so that's why I thought that. Actually, I was not lying, because I said I have not completed it yet. So there. Yes, I do own it. But it's probably games with gold. Oh no, it's not games with gold. Yeah, see, I do own it. That piqued my interest. So I was right. There was something hidden in my family's past. And it seemed to have a lot to do with the forest. With every step, I was getting closer to solving the mystery. So I followed him. At the crossroads. We have a choice. A path, he said. There's an old road, Wolf Den, or I could show you the burrows first. Or clearing that some folks call a place of power. Let's go to the Wolf's Den. We started walking, but after a few steps, he stopped. Abruptly, like he remembered something. Then he turned to me. Could you do me a favor, please, he asked. Sure. Finish it for the May story. I have not touched story ones. I don't think I've done anything for the story achievements in that. I don't think I moved on any of those. TA. View all targets. So the only one I have moved is Daily Streak. need to play some action games and story games. Alright, sure.
SMS received.
Hello, BX. Good evening. Dear Esther will be the next one. Nice. Sure. What do you need? I smiled. He ran his hand through the moss on a dead tree trunk, smelled his fingers, and then reached into his pocket. He took out a small stone. A personal amulet of his, maybe? I felt my hair stand on end, and my nostrils widened for some reason. The smell of the forest grew stronger. I would like you to take the stone. He held out his hand, open towards me, and throw it in the direction you think we should go. Your cat's being a pain. I did what he asked. Okay, I said, reaching for the stone. I took the stone, closed my hand around it. Be careful, whispered Anya. It felt alive. It was warm, and I could feel it pulsating. I closed my eyes and thought about the wolf den, trying to imagine that place. I smelled fur. I felt warmth. I was safe. I threw the stone. I don't think I played in either of those. I could be wrong. I felt my hand rising entirely on its own, and then throwing the stone as far as I could. When I opened my eyes, there was a path where the stone had fallen. I hadn't noticed it before. Okay. Daniel patted my back. Let's go. What happened? I was confused. Hey, achievement! You were accepted, he answered with a faint smile, before he turned to head deeper into the forest. Bartek gave me a thumbs up and crossed my mind that the two might have known each other for a long time. I have not started that one. I should start it soon, so I get my 10-year clock started. The old den. The first thing I noticed when we stopped was a pine tree. Pine tree, I know. I remembered it. Small, twisted, crooked, with roots sticking out of the side of the hill, which it grew. I knew it was wise. Every bend, every branch held hidden knowledge that was waiting to be discovered. Months before that, when I decided to come to Poland, I dreamt of that tree. I was sure of it, just like I was sure that under its roots I found a burrow, and a few feet away, another one, like two dark eyes gazing at me as I approached. Daniel passed me and approached the tree. He pressed his cheek against the trunk. Hello, he said quietly. I do think so, Ima. Yes, we need to get through all the horror games. Visual novels are a tough one to stream. Hello again, I said quietly. Daniel looked at me with surprise, but didn't comment. Bartek blushed a little and looked at his shoes. Yes, hello, he mumbled, hands in his pockets. This is the den, announced Daniel. It's abandoned, of course, but still, worth seeing. Why was it abandoned? Havor should be banned from ever picking games. Or I should veto some of his choices. What happened? I asked. Humans happen, Daniel sighed. He sat under the tree. I put a cooldown because of Havor. He sat under the tree, leaning his back against it. Call your cat! She is just being a pain. She's half on my lap, half on my desk. No, you cannot go on my desk. Horror does have some games. I'ma pick Red Dead Redemption 2. He sat under the tree, leaning his back against it. It was a hot spring morning when they found this den. No one knows who the men were, even though it was the only one human generation. It was only one human generation ago. That's a weird sentence. There were 6 cubs under the roots of the tree. He stopped, stuttering, and seemed to enjoy telling the story. Where is Casey? Maybe he's with his mother. I felt weird. I felt slightly anxious listening to him. Like I was on the brink of remembering things I wasn't aware I knew. I don't think they wanted to hurt the wolves, he continued. They probably thought they'd been abandoned, and that's why they took the cubs with them. Humans have this instinct that makes you try to befriend everything, especially if it's dangerous. Jordan? Wow. I thought you had COVID. Shouldn't you be staying home? Come on, cat. I can't see. Every Mother's Day needs a Mother's Night. Your COVID is over? Nice. When you put it that way, I answered unsure. I'm not saying it always works out, but the intention is good. And I believe the men who kidnapped the wolves wanted to do something kind, he continued. Anyway, they took them. Out of the 6, 2 lived to see the cold summer that year. The wolf mother used to come to the farm, and they were at... The wolf mother used to come to the farm they were at and howl. People went gray if they heard her. Giving mom's COVID is the best present? Yikes. And suddenly, I heard that howl. I knew exactly how it sounded, and I felt despair and longing gnawing at my soul. I remember how the cubs had reacted. They snarled at people. Every time she came, we remembered what had been done to us. We snarled at our captors, knowing they deserved it all. Deserved to go gray. Deserved to die for keeping us enslaved. There. Maya, are you okay? Anya asked, putting her hands on my shoulder. It was nothing. Oedipus Complex Day? I've never heard that word. Let's Google that. Search the web. Mythical Greek of Kings. Interesting. Ah. It was nothing, I said. I just drifted off for a moment. Oh, okay, Daniel sighed, looking at the tree and then the burrow. The cubs that survived were sold to some people in the Hadrodowicca, but after a while, both of them ended up back in Białowieża with the scientists. Devastation in the national park. One of the wolves, Kaza, was a celebrity of sorts. If you saw any wolf photos from her, they were probably of Kazan. He was even on postcards. That means you have a mother complex? Got it. They shouldn't have moved the cubs. The men should have left the cubs where they belonged, I said. Why did they interfere? They wanted to be kind, Daniel repeated. You can't condemn kindness. There was a slight gust of wind, and the tree creaked, and I remembered that the sound from my dreams as well, a sound that made me feel safe. I like Alien Gathering's name. That's a cool name. Even though I've been told that's a bot. We'll keep an eye on them. How often had he shared that story? Do you bring people here often? Daniel smiled. If I think they'll understand, I do. He fell silent. He looked at the burrows for a long time. This place, my friend, so I try to keep it important and respected. I think it's my mission, you know? I could relate to that. I think I understand. The forest had a way of sending people on missions. Daniel looked at the tree one last time. Goodbye! I also said my goodbyes. And we left. Between the trees, the forest was alive around us. Vigilant, but not alarmed by our presence. I kept thinking about the stolen cubs. So I guess we go to ancient graves now, or place of power? The dead hills. The trail soon disappeared. Sometimes we walked along a barely visible path made by some animals. Sometimes we followed a stream or gully, but for most of our trek, we walked through the dense undergrowth. Daniel was a great guide. He had no compass in hand, no map, yet we were heading dead north. And he moved through the forest with grace and ease, like it was his backyard. And he was showing us around. Anya and Bartek followed us, lost in hushed conversation. It was a pleasant walk. There was always a path through the brambles. The ground was even, and the branches stayed out of our way. I almost felt like the forest wanted us to follow the... Whoa. I almost felt the forest wanted us to find the way. This is the way. The forest was full of wonders. Walked through the forest. I couldn't decide what to do. I wanted to see her. I wanted to see, hear, touch, and taste everything. Wild strawberries were hiding in the bushes. Thanks for that host sub. Fresh and sweet. Leaves glistened with droplets of dew. Snails, pebbles, strange plants, and mushrooms. Armies of ants marching across our path. Everything was a treasure. It was as though Goosh 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 was showing us the best it had to offer. I took what I wanted. I couldn't resist the temptation. And when I spotted something I liked, I took it. The best fruits I'd ever tasted. The taste of the fruits was unforgettable. More real than everything I had ever tasted. Shouldn't you wash it first? Asked Anya when I reached for another wild strawberry. We continued in silence. We'd been walking for a while, when I noticed that Daniel's steps had become slower. He was also looking around more often, and he had hunched slightly. Fuck, we're lost. Was it the Boros? I enjoyed the moment. I sat down on a fallen tree trunk, looked around, and just enjoyed the afternoon. After a moment, Daniel shook his head. They're tricky to find sometimes, he mumbled. Be quiet for a moment, please. That was when I felt it. Ash in my mouth, smell of smoke, wet soil, and a pool. It felt weird. Felt weird, I whispered. Something like a pool? He looked intrigued, but not surprised. Okay, try to focus. Tell me where it was from. So I focused. And soon enough, I led us to a path on my left, under a dead tree. He followed me, and I followed my feet, knowing exactly where they should go. Under the crooked tree, past the dead tree trunk, and the sponge-like mushrooms, crossed the path of wet, dark green moss, all the way to a place that didn't look much different other than parts of the forest, until you noticed the mounds. There was something about the fluorescent hills that drew my full attention. And this is a lot of reading. Oof! These visual novels, Havor, no mas. There was something about the flattened hills. Oh, I already read that. They must have been bigger than the past. I could remember. A memory stirred in my mind. No, it wasn't a memory. It was a feeling anchored in my chest, akin to the taste of ash in my mouth and the smell of smoke, longing, sadness. Resonation. But there was more. Sense of sadness, or a sense of scaredness. It filled me with calm, excitement. And when I closed my eyes, I saw fire burning in the darkness. Voices. Hello, nighttime. Spiritual. The village was long gone. Its houses burned to the ground. Its people slaughtered. But the spirits were still there. They accumulated over time. Some in ancient Roman armor. Some in rags. Some in animal skins. Some in uniforms from the world wars. Some in modern camo. Are we dead? Where are we? They asked me with frantic whispers. Is this hell? He farted loudly? Oof. But they weren't real, just echoes of the past. The spirits in the trees were real. When I opened my eyes, Daniel was watching me. You were somewhere else, he said. You said you have family here? Yeah. I heard that my father's family came from here. I nodded. I don't know much about them, though. He sighed. I don't think you should be here, he said. Tersely? You're not ready. He knew something. Why? What do you know? I wasn't letting it go. About you? Not much. But I know the Uskuska. Can't read that word. The past is close here. His eyes were worried as he looked at me. And as if the Uskusa calls to you. It is wise to listen, but it's not wise to go, or wise to get lost in the voices. Come. On the way back, I was lost in my thoughts. The voices in the vision knew what I had to do. It's almost as if it was expected of me. It is dangerous to go alone. Was this what the forest wanted from me? Daniel said that the Uzaka had called me. Was the vision showing me what the forest needed? I was scared. I trembled. A bigger picture was starting to come to light, and I wasn't sure if I liked what I saw. Thanks for that host, Mr. Coolness. Uzuska wanted my magic. The walk back was uneventful. Alright, I think I'm going to switch games to a game I have a giveaway for. I played an hour of this visual novel, and the reading is hurting my throat. I can't do these visual novels well. So I'm going to do some behind the scenes work that you guys will see as I'm trying to transition because I did not set up a second game. But this is where I'm going to end this game, and we'll be right back with another one. Yes, you can wake up now. Wrong button.